There's always that element of luck within each speech contest. Your speaking order, who are the judges, how you're dressed even, or the topic that you're presenting. And my suggestion would be to just don't give up, because anybody can win a contest, honestly speaking. But of course, you have to be willing to work hard, right through from writing your speech to rehearsing it, getting feedback. I think one of the most important thing is to get feedback, because when you're rehearsing prior to contest, the feedback helps you to, by and large, understand whether the content that you've prepared, and whilst, because you've spent so much time developing it and thinking about it, you could be, your thinking could be a bit silo. But when you're actually getting feedback, you're presenting to different or rehearsing to different groups of audience. If the majority of the people you've rehearsed to tell you that that part of the speech does not work, then I think it's reflective of the fact that you need to seriously think about revising or just working on that part of the content. And certain punchlines or humor, does it work? So you try it out on different groups of the audience. So by getting as many feedback, of course, some could be very conflicting. Whilst one group of audience may like that part of your speech, another group may not. But you're looking for that majority, and you have to naturally apply a filter, because some feedback that you get may suggest you to do things or say things or create settings within your speech that does not fit your speaking style. So you have to apply that filter to see what works for you, and use the live audience or use groups of audience, maybe live audience or audience within the Zoom setting, just to use them as a bouncing board and to see how well it's received. And you just have to be prepared to be very open-minded, to change your speech. And to every time you change your speech, of course, then it comes to having to memorize it again, as well as to rehearse it again. And it's a very painstaking process, of course. But the more effort you're willing to put in, the greater the reward will be. So whilst a contestant may not win in a particular year or may not be placed in a particular year, it does not mean that the contestant's speech is not good. It just means that on the day, the judges happen to have selected other people whom they felt was better. So it's very subjective. So you have to accept the fact that it's subjective. Whilst a lot of contestants may get very emotional and say, "Oh, the judges or the audience don't know how to appreciate me," you have to adopt a very open-minded approach, and always be prepared to learn from the experience. Was there really something that my speech lacked? So for a particular year for myself, whilst I believe that my speech is really well, I think it's one of the best speeches I've ever written, but it didn't win. So I was reflecting as to what happened. Was it because they didn't like me? Was it because of a particular touchy topic that I presented? But what I found after some reflection was that my speech, whilst it was very entertaining and engaging, it lacked in emotional elements within the speech. So the audience it didn't resonate with the audience as a whole. So the next time round, I gave that due consideration, and therefore I put more emotional, or in terms of how I felt about certain things that related to my message, and that got me through.